Welcome to the Revenue Marketing Report powered by CaliberMind. This is your podcast for B2B marketers to up-level their skills in leadership. I'm your host, Camela Thompson, and today I'm joined by Ian Michels. Ian, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, Camela, thanks so much for having me. I started my adventure into this world with marketing attribution, quickly moved to multi-touch attribution, currently working at Adobe, but have a little side project with my podcast, Attribution Time, where I love to talk all things attribution, and that's been a fun little adventure for me.
Awesome. And today we're going to start with signs your company is not so data-driven or insights-driven, as I like to call the alternative. What have you seen out there?
Yeah, so my background, I've worked within consulting, and you can quickly begin to pick up on some of the general areas where people are not as data-driven. Sometimes it's truly as easy as asking, what are you measuring? And you'll be surprised. Sometimes it's nothing. They're doing marketing for the sake of marketing, as my old CEO used to say. Like there's nothing data-driven about it. There was no way to measure their point of success. It was just marketing for the sake of marketing. I heard this influencer say this, so I'm going to do that. And it just was it's kind of like the Wild West. And I think, some marketers get a bad rap because of the marketers who do that. They just kind of follow the trends. Other times you see where the measurable results are just your standard metrics. MQL, leads created, ops created, all very important, valid things. But what I often refer to is that statistical mindset. When the marketer doesn't have the mindset to be able to go a little bit deeper, to ask the question why, or what's impacting this, what's influencing this. And so you can quickly begin to pick up on that as you work with different individuals when you ask them to go a little bit deeper with those just standard key metrics, and just nothing's really there.
Yeah, I love me some random acts of marketing.
Yeah, that's right.
It happens. And I think there's always really solid positive intent there. But I don't know if you agree with this. What I see a lot of times when I'm running into a marketing team that's really resistant to a weekly meeting to talk about numbers, that tends to start from the top down. You really need to have a leader that's invested in looking at the right things. So maybe instead of just focusing on the signs, we talk a little bit more about what it should look like. In your ideal state, maybe we pick on a couple roles as good examples. So like digital marketers should be neck deep in data, but what should that data look like and how often should they be looking at it?
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start. I'm going to go back one step where when you meet as a team and it's, the right questions aren't being asked from the top, but at the same time, it's also the wrong questions are being asked from the top. Yeah. So sometimes there's no questions being asked, and it's just like, this is the budget, this is what it is. You just do the random acts. Other times it is the wrong questions are being asked because what I affectionately call HBR metrics are we just have to do, we just have to have leads, MQLs, ops, and that's it. And it's the top down, just like this is all they ask. They don't ask for anything else. And so the marketing just kind of keeps doing what they want to do or try random things because all they are held to are these standard HBR metrics that are just notoriously known to be what you report on. And rather than going deeper and truly trying to understand the data.
I think HBR has evolved since then, but we haven't caught up yet.
Yeah, I think HBR, yeah, it's unfair to say that HBR, but that's what everyone refers back to, right? It's like, oh, I saw this in an HBR article. It's like, yeah, from 2009, right? But
right, I was gonna say 15 plus years ago. Yeah. 100%.
But it's like what was just kind of ingrained and continued to be the norm for most people, right? Where, yeah, I mean, they've progressed in how you measure, but I don't know if they've done a good job of getting that out as well as maybe those previous ones. So All right. So the question of, what is good? And the different roles, right? Uh, this is great. You and I actually went off on this of like when we talked about multi-touch attribution. There's a different way in which they're looking at measurements in general. And so truly solely from a marketing perspective, when we talk about engagement and measurement, we have to talk about the different roles. And so you have the lead gen where it all starts. They're held accountable for leads created, but what is that? And lead gen's probably in a little kerfuffle right now, right? Of well, what's going to happen with the cookies? Google's shutting this down. Like they're trying to figure things out right now. And so how are they going to measure things outside of just solely leads being created? And because that's where all their dollars invested. Now, the funny thing, I was having a conversation earlier is, does the number really change? Is it not all the money just still Google? Probably still only going to still be Google that's invested in. I don't know. We'll find out. Maybe it'll shift. Who knows? But I think for them, they have to start figuring out the shift there as they lose track of the cookies is being more of like a media mix model is what we're kind of seeing. If I invest in these types of campaigns across different initiatives, am I getting that ROI? Is that bringing back the right amount of revenue for us? And so it's going to be a little bit top down type of approach of marketing. It's not going to be individualized. It's not going to be as unique as data points, but it's going to be more overarching. These channels, these types of campaigns, overall investments, and what's driving those revenue points as they kind of lose track of those cookies. Yeah, I would then go into demand gen, what's driving it, how do we continue to create demand. They're a little bit of that, but they're also having to then get into what's creating those opportunities, what's actually driving pipeline, which eventually is revenue. And that, I think, is where you get in more into multi-touch attribution type of metrics. We're going to get a little more individualized. You're going to try to understand, okay, yes, it's not just these webinars that we're running, but like who are the different individuals? What are the personas that are, that we've created? Are they engaging with us? Are they actually being involved in these things? Do we need to make that shift in those things, right? You get a little bit more individualized or personalized in that area, and you got to figure out how do you want to measure those things, right? Within the data.
Yeah, and what I like about what you're saying, so I think marketers are super savvy at using the tools they're in all the time and looking at early indicators.
Mhm.
I think what I really like about what you're saying is, yes, absolutely time and place for that. But if you're not tying that or trying to tie it to opportunities and getting information on what's actually generating pipeline and closing business, that should be your goal. And you're ultimately out of alignment with business if you're not trying to do that in some fashion. Am I
That's right.
okay? I didn't
Yeah,
want to put too many words in your mouth.
yeah. No, that I think you made me sound smarter than I am. No, that's exactly what I'm getting at, right? Even if you have the standard metrics of I need to create leads, I need to create MQLs, I need to create opportunities, go above and beyond as a marketer to understand what's actually driving revenue. Because yeah, you may be quarterly held to those responsibilities, but at the end of the year, you can ask for way more money if you actually associate it to revenue. You can't ask for more money if you just assign it to those, top level type of metrics. There's no way, because you have no way of associating it to how did the company actually grow. So if you're looking to really grow your marketing initiatives, you need money, and you have to be able to associate it back to the money.
Yeah, I think maybe CMOs do a little bit too much of a good job of shielding their team from the pressures they face, because I think if the team understood which pressures, they would understood what they have to measure to help their boss communicate what they're doing. So as VP of marketing, I was under constant pressure to prove ROI. And they wanted it by channel, right?
Yeah.
So for every dollar I put into search, how many am I going to get out? Because they wanted to do an equation in their head. If I give marketing X amount of dollars, it's going to result in X amount of bookings. It's really a lot more complicated than that, but I think people need to realize that if they're not trying any type of attribution, which I define as any way to tie an opportunity to a marketing activity, whether you're doing single touch or multi-touch, you're kind of losing credibility with the rest of the C-suite.
Absolutely. And I think what you're calling out here is great because, again, having been on the consulting side, I really enjoyed getting to work with the practitioner. And as a practitioner, you get to get muddy, you get to get your hands dirty, you get to be just in it all. And especially in the operations space, marketing operations space, like those who really thrive in that are the ones that like doing that. They like getting their hands dirty. They like scrubbing through the data. They just enjoy those processes. Executives don't.
Mm-mm.
They don't, right? It's just that is not part of it. And so that's but that's a big leap where, when we're talking about the data and we're saying, hey, this is all really great data. And when I would coach clients, I'm like, this is all great data, but this is all you can really talk about to your executive. Don't go with all this. This is great findings, and I keep those close to the chest and use those to execute, but this is what you have to really show them.
Excellent point. Excellent point. So when I coach other marketers on how to present to their bosses and their bosses' bosses, we always have this discussion. What do they really care about? And the temptation is to go in there and start talking about impressions and costs per click and cost per impression, like all of this. No, what they really want to know, how many leads did you generate and how are they converting into actual opportunities? Because I think a lot of us realize these early indicators can all look fantastic and you can think, man, I should be getting more budget because this is producing. But if it's not turning into actual opportunities and bookings, it's not working in the eyes of an executive.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it's just, I just encourage all marketers, keep the data. It's all great data, but just really begin to work, ask the right questions of what is it that you need to show? Like, what is it that you need me to show? And once you have all your dashboards, let's say you're using Salesforce to build all your dashboards or whatever it is, I guarantee you, maybe 10% of those are going to be able to go into your executive dashboard. And so what you're doing is already in place. It's already there for your executive. It's just not going to be all of it. And so just keep building those things, keep developing them, but just know that most of that will never see anyone up in the executive level. They're just not going to look at those things.
No, it can be your secret sauce. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. Exactly.
So that is a fantastic segue into our next topic, which is creating a cadence for those KPI meetings. And we'll talk about what those KPIs are. See you tomorrow. Listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to the Revenue Marketing Report. Please tell 2 friends, subscribe, download, whatever you can helps. And for those of you looking for more great content like this, check out caliberbuying.com.